And while I don't think ever this verdict or this conviction will ever bring peace to the family, I hope that they can take this sigh of relief with me to say that this part of the trial is over.
Now at 4, convicted killer Richard Allen learns his sentence, 130 years for the 2017 murders of Libby German and Abby Williams. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on 13 News at 4. I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence, and we're going to get right out to senior investigative reporter Bob Siegel and 13 News reporter Emily Longnecker. They are live in Delphi with the sentence and the reaction. A good afternoon to both of you. I know it's been busy, so let's dive in.
Well, good afternoon. 130 years that you mentioned, that is the maximum sentence that was available for Richard Allen. And Emily, this morning behind us here in the Carroll County Courthouse, Judge Frances Gull said she had no problem issuing that maximum sentence based on what she referred to as the heinous nature of the murders. Now, she told Richard Allen during the sentencing hearing, you rank right up there with the most hideous crimes that she has seen in her 27 years of presiding over murder trials. And the judge looked right at Richard Allen when she said, these families will deal with your carnage forever. Richard Allen did not show any emotion during the sentencing hearing. Judge Gull called him out for, in fact, rolling his eyes at the judge as she was talking to him. She sentenced Allen to 65 years in prison for killing Abby Williams, another 65 years for killing Libby German, to be served consecutively, one right after the other. The victims' families and the Carroll County prosecutor asked the judge to impose the maximum sentence possible. At the hearing, prosecutor Nick McClelland told the judge, Richard Allen is a danger to the community, and he's the worst kind of danger, the kind who can kill 2 girls and then go on with his life. And a state police investigator told the judge, Allen treated his victims like animals, stalking and humiliating them before he brutally killed them. Now, after announcing the sentence, Judge Gull told Richard Allen he has 30 days to file an appeal. And we know he is planning to appeal the guilty verdicts and the sentence. Gull also announced she lifted the gag order that has been preventing the attorneys and investigators and families from discussing the case publicly for more than a year. Right outside the courthouse, Libby German's uncle broke his silence this morning by sharing his reaction to the 130-year sentence.
There still ain't justice. Nothing is going to bring the girls back. So, I mean, this is a little closure. I mean, a step forward, we'll be able to sleep a little bit easier tonight.
Now, that was not the only statement that we heard from families today. Inside the court this morning, 6 of Abby and Libby's relatives gave very powerful victim impact statements, and those played a role, Emily, in the judge handing down the 130-year maximum sentence to Richard Allen. Some of the family members used the opportunity to lash out directly at Richard Allen. I'll tell you more about those statements coming up at 5. But Emily, we have heard more now since the gag order has been lifted, more from other folks who played a key role in this case. You were at that press conference today to hear what they had to say.
Right. They had a press conference offsite, and this was really the chance for law enforcement and the prosecution to say some of the things that they have wanted to say but couldn't because of that gag order. A lot of what they said today at this news conference, Bob, were thank yous. Thank yous to a lot of folks. Carroll County Prosecutor Nick McClelland thanked his team, and he also thanked Kathy Shank. She's the volunteer who came across that tip in the fall of 2022 in the bottom of a banker's box. Shank had been a volunteer and helped scan and sort files for the investigation. She came across a tip and file she hadn't seen before, took it to investigators, and within months, Richard Allen was under arrest. Here's Nick McClelland thanking Shank at today's press conference, and then Kathy Shank herself.
Without her, we would not be here. Without her, we would not have an arrest, a conviction, and a sentence. She was the key part to this investigation. The needle in the haystack, if you will, that brought this investigation to a close to where we could make an arrest. Kathy Shank, I thank you.
I realized that this was a person who we had not discussed. And when I read the tip and the subsequent report, because I had been an investigator for the 40 years prior, I took it to Tony Liggett and I said, please look at this. I think this is something we need to look at. And he said, yes, it is. I basically said 2 and 2 equals 4. And that's what led me to it.
There's Kathy Schenk today after today's news conference. You know, Prosecutor Nick McClelland, he also ended his statements by thanking Abby and Libby. He thanked Libby for rolling that cell phone video that was video that captured a video of their killer walking towards them, having the presence of mind to roll on that video. He also thanked Abby for hiding that phone under her body so the killer could not take that from the crime scene. McClelland called it arguably the biggest piece of evidence that the case had. Now, coming up tonight at 5, we're going to hear from Mike Patty, what he had to say at that news conference today. That's Libby's grandfather. And we're also going to hear from Indiana State Police Superintendent Doug Carter on what he'd like Richard Allen to know.
Felicia and Dustin, we've got a lot more coming up from Delphi at 5. For now, we will send it back to you.
Before we let you go, I just thought it was fascinating. Kathy Schenk, a volunteer, by the way, in that office who happened to find that lead and then give it to me, and then they say this is why we are here today. But I'm curious to know, did they talk at all about how many agencies were involved? I mean, they thanked the state police. Carroll County obviously was heavily involved, but there were a lot of outside agencies involved in this case to bring it to trial.
Yeah, you know, they didn't list each agency by name, but they said dozens had helped get them to this point, and obviously they thanked them. Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett saying when this all happened that they had the reassurance from state police, you know, you're going to have our resources, we're going to help you on this, we're going to stand by your side and make sure that we solve this case together. So that was something that was talked about today, how it was a lot of teamwork to get to this point.
All right, Emily Longnecker, Bob Siegel, reporting live outside the Carroll County Courthouse in Delphi. Thank you so much. We know you have a lot more information that you're going to share with us over the next few hours. We will get back to you. Our coverage of the Delphi murder sentencing continues in the next half hour of 13 News at 4.
That's right. Our legal analyst, Katie Jackson Lindsay, will join us here in studio to give her insight into today's proceedings.